Hello guys and welcome to another FS Uncut. I am joined by
Jordan,
Cahill,
Darren A.
Micah,
Darren T.
Okay, so this topic is on the subject of racism. So obviously we've had recently the Raheem Sterling incident at Stamford Bridge. We've had a lot of racist incidents over the last years upon years. The question is there a way to stop it, or at least solutions, possible punishments that you think would work best? Anyone willing to start this topic?
Right, I will.
Okay, go ahead.
Right. I think John Barnes hit the nail on the head when he was on BBC Breakfast. The problem isn't in football, it's actually in society. I don't 100% have a solution on how it's going to work in society or how it's going to be. How it's going to be resolved. It's something that's been sort of endemic within society for hundreds of years. It's been indoctrinated into society. Football's only sort of part of that, an offshoot of that, to be honest with you. So we need to sort of look at what we can do as a community as a whole to really address that issue. In terms of, you know what? I beg you cut that, please, because I just totally went off.
No, it's fine.
No,
It's fine.
Yeah.
Just pick it up.
To go off from that, I think obviously it is a societal issue, and that it'd be stupid to think that football would be able to fix it itself. But I do think that football has a role to play in sorting out racism in its own house.
Mm-hmm.
So if we're talking about football in the media, or football in the institution itself, we're talking about people who are running the FA, and we can look back at how they treat Elliot Luca. We can look at sports media, and we can see how they've treated Raheem Sterling, how they're treating Paul Pogba, and we'll think about how they're doing things. If they can't see that this is exactly what Raheem Sterling was saying in the statement last week, which sort of went out the window as soon as Jose Mourinho lost his job. Then there's all sorts of stuff saying about Paul Pogba.
Yeah.
We had Ian Wright having to put a video on his morning jog or whatever, defending Paul Pogba because Gary Neville, a week after admitting that he was ignorant to Raheem Sterling's issues, was using that same sort of dog whistle language about Paul Pogba, but was able to get away with it because Paul Pogba doesn't play for England.
Yes.
And that is the sort of thing that we've got to talk about in football. Football itself can't solve racism, but football can shine a light on the racism that happens in its own institution. For example, Sol Campbell was starting his managerial career at Macclesfield. There was a ton of things that I look at Sol Campbell a little bit funny for, but you look at Frank Lampard is starting at Derby, one of the bigger clubs in the Championship with one of the more resources in the Championships. You've got Steven Gerrard at Rangers, who's in the top league. Like Gareth Southgate started at Middlesbrough with no qualifications. Same with Alan Shearer. And this is, and I think Sol Campbell, who's got all his relevant coaching badges that he needs at the moment, and he started at a far lower level than everybody else. And you also got to think about when we had Chris Ramsey at QPR. Every single day he was up there in front of the media. He was asked about black issues in football, but there was no appetite to actually do things to change it. There's only ever really been 3 or 4, 5 at push in the 92 teams in the Football League structure in England that are black managers. That is a racism problem in football. Football can do more to fix that, but it isn't going to stop somebody on the street being racist to another black person. But they can do things to sort out the racism in football.
Very well said.
They can. Only thing is, I don't want. What I don't want is for us to be having token black managers and coaches, because that's where it's kind of going for me at the moment. Do you know what I mean? There are plenty of qualified individuals, but there's this rule. There's this rule now, isn't there?
Rooney rule.
Yeah, where you've got to interview one black or an ethnic minority coach for that job, and I feel that there's gonna be what we don't want is for them to for clubs just to appoint a manager because he feels sorry for them.
But that wouldn't happen under the Rooney Rule though, because that's how interview processes don't work like that. Like the CEO is still willing to appoint whoever he wants to appoint, whether he has to interview a black manager in that process. If he doesn't want to interview, if he doesn't do well in the interview, he's not going to get the job anyway. Like the Rooney Rule was used in the NFL because the black coaches weren't getting to the interview stage. If they're getting to the interview stage and they knock the interview out of the park, much like anybody else in their job, they're going to expect the opportunity. And I think there's a lot of sort of like misunderstanding about the Rooney Rule as it's some sort of token for people. It's not like you still have to work once you get the interview to impress your prospective employers. And I think it's really important to make sure that point is actually noticed, that this black manager through the Rooney Rule still deserves his job, because when he was asked what was his vision for the team, what would he want to do, etc., he put himself out there in a way that impressed everybody above like his other candidates. So,
and the scenario you painted earlier on, which is what you don't want to see for black candidates, I think we would agree with, but that's been happening with white people for 50, 60, 70 years. They've been getting favouritism for their mates. So if it happens to swing the other way for our people, then we're only getting what they've been getting for the past 100 odd years. Do you know what I mean? I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying that what you're saying is already happening just with their own people. And I think in terms of the answer to the question, I don't have any answers per se, because I think all intelligent people know that this is a bigger thing than football. So I think we accept the societal problems, put that to one side. As you say, we can sort our own house. Let's work on making sure when football fans go to football stadiums, they know that whatever you say at home with your missus, Julie, Maria, whatever, about black people, whatever it is, that stays at home. When you come in Stamford Bridge, you come into the Emirates, Old Trafford, there are punishments in place to ensure that if you bring those views into this arena, the footballing arena, there are consequences and the punishments. I spoke to a friend of mine who's a Fed, and he was saying that, I was asking him just out of interest, can you actually put someone in jail for racially abusing someone? Because technically it's a crime. And he said, you're going to struggle. You're going to really struggle to put people in prison for racially abusing people, even though it's a crime, only because on the ranking of things to sort out, someone racially abusing someone is quite low down on the list of things to do. If they hit them because they're black, that's different, and that's physical violence. So I don't have an answer per se what to do in terms of punishing people who are racist in the football arena, but I think making sure that if you go to football grounds, everyone knows, put it in big signs, if you are caught racially abusing people, banned for life. In terms of my industry, the media, which is again was alluded to, is the language that's used. And I think that when people think of racism, and it upset me that Raheem Sterling's post, the focus was more on what he was saying about the guy racially abusing him. That's disgusting and it's really bad. The bigger point Sterling was making was how you guys in the media, me included, talk about us. That's what feeds the fans who feel they can go to games and racially abuse people like Sterling, because there's a picture of Sterling that's been built up over 4 or 5 years that over time sees him as the bad guy. And if you have people that are not very intelligent, they translate the bad guy into the bad black guy. So they think they can get away with saying what they say.
It's not just unintelligent or intelligent people. It's, as a general, like the guy who racially abused Raheem Sterling, middle class, fine. He was living. He's a season ticket holder.
Yeah.
He's wealthy at Chelsea as well. So that's a dangerous stereotype to portray as football fans that are unintelligent. They go to the working class. No, this guy was so celebrated by Chelsea. They put him in the video for Anthony Rudiger's his announcement.
Yeah.
He's celebrated by those teams. I don't think it's right that we put working class people in that bracket. I'm just saying that it could be seen that way.
I just link being racist with being unintelligent. The whole idea of being racist for me is a very stupid thing.
It's a very stupid
I'm just saying, if you are racist, for me, you are inherently stupid. The idea that you think you're better than me because of your race, that for me is thick. Do you know what I mean?
But it is a system that was introduced by very intelligent people, and it's been continued by very intelligent people.
But who followed it? The people that followed it are not very intelligent.
Of course,
Because
but,
the premise of racism.
but there's those at the top that are continuously
I hear that.
feeding that.
I
Like,
hear
the,
that.
the media are full of a bunch of intelligent people,
I agree with
and
that.
they are feeding that
I
narrative
agree
about
with that.
Sterling.
And that comes down to the words used and the headlines
Of
used.
course.
And that's where the media have a role to play. And the thing is, what upsets me, and I'll move it on, in the media discussion about what's happened with Sterling and black players isn't the starting point of how do we combat the racism in football. It's always, is there a problem with racism in football?
Yeah.
It's like, hang on a minute.
But there is.
There is.
Yeah.
That's not a question. The question is, how do we fix it? And more important than that, is there a willingness to fix it? And we always start every 6 months when there's an incident that comes up. Oh, let's talk about racism in football. I didn't know this was happening. This is a big shock. And it's not a shock. You look across most newsrooms, mine included Channel 4 News, there's very few black people in the newsroom. And it's even worse at other newsrooms. So by default, if the people that are reporting and writing and controlling the media are all of one type, how do they then really understand why Paul Pogba dances and Lingard? Why they don't understand that culture because they're not from that culture.
Yeah.
So it's about diversifying the people that, for me, filter down the headlines and the words to the fans who thought they can get away with saying what they thought they can get away with saying.
That's very true. Also, in terms of football, I do believe that FIFA and UEFA don't do enough at all.
100%.
To combat racism. You'll look at the sanctions that are placed upon nations, clubs, who have fans that are serial abusers. You know, for instance, in March, Russian fans will find the Russian FA will find 22 grand for racially abusing French players. Besiktas this same year will find 30 grand for a cat walking across the pitch.
Okay.
So it's 8 grand more for a cat
Yeah.
than for racial abuse. And if you
Remember,
look at
John Terry as well, and Nicholas Bentner. Nicholas Bentner got fined like
Pounds.
Shorts.
Because you're
Grand-
celebrating
Yeah.
150 grand for his box, but John Terry only got fined like 22 grand by the FA for racially abusing Anton Ferdinand.
Yeah.
It's everywhere.
And off your point about the authorities not taking it seriously as well, going back to the question as well, is there's a question to be asked about how, if the fans can police each other. Now, I'm not saying that it should be on the fans' shoulders to call out an ex-fan, because if four fans gang up on you, it could be peak. But I'm saying if the authorities won't deal with the situation, then the fans might have to call out each other. And if we hear someone saying something racist, we might have to, as a fan base, be brave enough to say, that's not cool, don't do that again. Or, do you know what I mean? But then I get the whole flip of that of, you don't want to get beat up in the crowd as well. So
that would more work in England, but in other countries where they are, that is sort of endemic within their society. That's the problem here.
Yeah.
That's why FIFA and UEFA need to just clamp down. I mean,
but they're not good. You made the point. They're not good.
We can't trust them.
We can't trust them.
Antoine Griezmann had nothing. Nobody said anything. No repercussions
for the blackface.
for blackface.
The blackface thing, yeah.
He posted it. He said he was celebrating that moment, and nothing. Nothing from UEFA. Nothing from La Liga. Nothing from Atletico Madrid. It was completely forgotten. Nothing from France.
It was Twitter that policed him. It was.
Yeah.
It wasn't Twitter. It was Black Twitter.
Yeah.
It's a different thing.
Yeah.
And until they listen to the message that they're preaching, when they flash Leo Messi's face, when they flash Ronaldo's face, when they flash Neymar's face, saying let's kick racism out of football, nothing's going to change.
Right. Thank you guys.